In this short video, we'll overview the safety precautions for the DC servo apparatus. First, we'll look at the general safety precautions, deal with electrical, cleanup, and falling. All electrical equipment is 120 volt AC electrical power. If any power cords are damaged or frayed, get help from the technician or instructor immediately. Cleanup. Before you leave the lab, make sure you turn off the power and equipment and put away wires and other components that are hooked up on the desk. This is to prevent injury and to the next person who enters the lab. Falling. Do not use any rolling chairs to stand on. They can roll out from under you. Next, we'll talk about the Motomatic safety precautions in particular. These include pinch points, rotating parts, loose parts, and overspeed. The main risks associated with a DC servo are that it's a rotating machine. So all of the things that we learned before for rotating machines, like in our machining class with a lathe, we should think about here. There's a risk that as the machine rotates around, parts may break off and fly out and hit us in the face. So we always need to wear safety glasses to protect our eyes. The system has a motor, a DC motor here, and that turns a shaft with some pulleys. Now the pulleys could break, they're cloth, and they could break and fly off. Also, there's a coupling between the two pulleys, and it's possible that the coupling could come out. At the first week, we're going to actually run the motor without the pulley, so we're going to loosen this nut. We're going to move the motor off. When we do that, we should be careful to take this pulley off and set it on the desk here so that we don't lose it. Sometimes people leave it sitting loosely on the shaft, and then when the motor starts, it's very possible that the coupling will fly off and hit them in the face. Another concern are some pinch points. If you were to put your fingers down here in the pulleys and the motor's turned, it could draw your fingers in and pull them in and pinch them. Another concern is loose clothing or hair. If your loose clothing or hair gets caught into the shaft, it could pull you into the works and injure you. Another concern is that when we're running the system in closed loop, if we do it wrong, it's possible the system could go unstable and the motor could go to a very high speed instead of going to a nice medium steady state speed. That's the result of an unstable closed loop system. And if that happens, it's even more likely that something will fail because the motor would be turning very high speed. So if that happens, then we should just go to the machine and turn it off. Okay, so this is the off switch. Just turn that off and everything will stop. If you hear a sound that sounds like a motor going at a very high speed, then you should turn your machine off.